welcome. I also welcome all the fellow Rotarians and guests. And if you all give me a minute, I will start the live on Facebook. Welcome everybody. Ritika, please take over from here.
Thank you, Yatin. We'll be conducting our meeting as per the normal format. While the speakers are talking, I'll be muting the mics of all the participants. May I request any visiting Rotarians to introduce themselves in the chat function of the app, and may I introduce the host of any guests to introduce them in the chat function as well, please? Congratulations are in order. So firstly, please join me in wishing Rotarian Rajiv Bansali and Rotarian Rashmi Bansali ji a very happy anniversary. Today is their anniversary, and best wishes to both of you on this momentous occasion, and may your life together continue to be blessed. The birthdays which have passed on is for 13th of August. We had Rotarian Surinder Gupta ji's birthday. Wishing you a very happy birthday, sir. 16th of August, we had twinning birthdays of two Rotarians. So we had Rotarian Rohit Bhavani and Rotarian R.S. Singhvi. They had their birthdays. So wishing you a very happy birthday, sirs. And 17th of August, we had Rotarian Dr. Umesh Gupta's birthday. So please join me in wishing him a happy birthday as well. A very happy birthday to you, Dr. Umesh ji. May I now call upon past President Rotarian V.S. Datta to please introduce the speaker for the day, Mr. Krishan Kalra, the former Additional Secretary General of FICCI and Secretary General of PhD Chamber of Commerce. Please, Dr. Virendra Datta, if you may unmute yourself. Dr. V.S. Datta, if you may please unmute yourself. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. It's a privilege to introduce a good friend and a wonderful human being, Krish Kalra. I have known him for over the period. We have traveled many times together, and I enjoyed his company and his conversations also. Krish, as we call him, is an engineer by training and worked in the corporate world for over 38 years, followed by 7 years as Additional Secretary General of FICCI and another 3 years as Secretary General of PhD Chamber of Commerce. He's also the Vice President of All India Management Association, and actually I attended a course on the management, and which was signed, certificate was signed by him. I didn't know it that time, and I'm going to know him so well. He has also served on the Board of Governors of IMC Calcutta for 5 years, and as a member of the PhD Chamber Management Committee for over 20 years. Since early 2010, Mr. Kalra does only voluntary work in the areas of skill development, cancer care, environment, conservation, and empowerment of the differently abled. His current honorary position include member Proposal Approval Committee, National Skill Development Corporation, member Philanthropy Committee, Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Institute and Research Center. He just finished his tenure as honorary treasurer and a member of the Governing Council on Committee for Indian Cancer Society, Delhi. He is also a trustee in Climate Project Foundation, India, member and board of advisors, Sarthak, and president National Olympic Association of India. It goes on and on, but I would say the best part is he's a wonderful human being, and I'm glad that he's offered to speak to us. We're all looking forward to hearing him today. Hearty welcome, Krish, and look forward to your discourse today. Thank you very much. Thank you. Over to you, Jitender.
Dr. Krishan Kalra, if you may please unmute yourself. Dr. Kalra, if you may please unmute yourself.
So you'll need to unmute yourself from the screen.
Yeah. Yes,
Good morning once again, President Yatin, Honorary Secretary Ritika, past President and my very dear friend Virender. It's a matter of honor and a privilege for me to be able to speak in front of such a distinguished audience. And I'm lucky that I've found so many friends among your club members also, President Jatin. The subject that I'm going to talk to you today about is what officially the government of India calls Divyangjans and the problems that they face in India. It's a good name because the word people with disabilities is not really a decent name to describe them because they have many special abilities. One could call them differently abled or specially abled, etc. Jasmine, could you put on the first slide, please?
Yes.
There's going to be a slide presentation. Yeah. Now, first thing which might shock you, friends, are the statistics in India of the people with some disability or the other. 2011, Government of India had done a census and they came out with the figure of 26.8 million. Earlier, the World Bank data had estimated the number of differently abled people in India at between 40 to 80 million. And what came as a shocker was the 2020 WHO report, which estimated that worldwide there are about 1 billion, which is 13.3% of the world population at that time, people who suffer from some kind of disability. It could be impairment of speech or hearing or sight, or it could be mobility impairment, or it could be a mental disorder, whatever. Now, if we are to believe that figure, and I have no reason not to believe that, because in India, we are aware that people hide these things, particularly if a child is born, especially in rural areas with some mental disability or some drawback, the parents and the society and even the neighbors try to hide that, and they don't figure in any kind of census. So possibly India has, at the very minimum, at a conservative basis, 10% of India's population, that is 130 million people who suffer from some disability. Now, on the employment side, Government of India has mandated 3% reservation for people with different abilities, but we have really to see whether that is actually being implemented. Then there is an NCPEDP survey, National Center for Promotion of Employment of PwDs, which estimates that in the multinationals in India, only 0.05% of the people of PwDs are employed. So the situation is not really that good. Jasmine, may I have the second slide, please?
Yes.
There are lots of issues that the Divyangjans face. On the health ground, I have this in 2 slides. There is hardly any early intervention, which to my mind, and what I have learned at Sarthak, to which I'll come in the next couple of slides. Early intervention can save a lot of people from becoming disabled in any manner. And then, because many of the disabilities are preventable. Education, the system is not at all inclusive. Regular schools normally shun people with different abilities. They don't want to admit them. Although recently there was a central government order, I think as late as 12th of August, saying that 22 lakh kids will be admitted to regular schools. If that actually happens, that will be a huge step towards inclusivity. There is a pathetic lack of special schools and trained teachers. There have been these schools. I remember in Delhi, there was, right from 1947, when we moved to Delhi, there was a school called the School for Deaf and Dumb, somewhere near Rajghat. Now, Lady Noyes School of Deaf and Dumb. But we need thousands of such schools all over the country, tens of thousands of such schools. And I don't know whether that school still exists or not. Reservation in higher education is not fulfilled, although the reservation is there. Then on the employment side, I've already mentioned to you about the NCDP survey, but there are serious problems about their employment, even if these people are capable. Many Jasmine, please turn the next slide. Many organizations do not, if they have a choice, they do not take people with special abilities. At the same time, there are brilliant organizations who are doing laudable work. And the number one name that comes to my mind is this group of lemon tree hotels. You will be happy to learn that as much as 18% of their entire workforce are people with special abilities. And I've learned it from none else than their own chairman, Patu Keshwani, who says that they find their work almost 20% they're more productive than the people able-bodied colleagues they are. And he gave the example of housekeeping teams. He says if a housekeeping team of 2 does about 18 rooms in a day, in a shift, or in an hour or whatever it is. I'm sorry, I don't remember that figure. These people with special abilities who may be hearing impaired or speech impaired are able to do between 22 to 25 rooms in the same amount of time. So there are people who have abilities. Another example, shining example, is in this company called MakeMyTrip.com. A young man called Taneja was employed who was unable to use his hands and fingers. So they made a special keyboard for him and installed it near his feet. And he could, almost in a lying down position, started using the computer. And within 6 months, he was doing it faster than all his colleagues around. They were amazed. He spent a couple of years with there, and now he's in the US. He went for an MS. And so there are people who have a fire in the belly, who want to do well, despite any handicaps they might have. But I think India's health sector has failed them. The affordable access to jobs has afforded them. The next issue faced for them is accessibility. Many of the buildings in the private sector, and still several of them in the public sector also, they don't provide ramps for wheelchairs to go up them. Then there is discrimination and social exclusion, which is probably the biggest sin that our society is doing, that we do not treat these people as our equals. And we kind of, as I mentioned earlier, we even shun their company, we even hide their disability. Then there is grossly inadequate data and statistics available, as you saw from the first slide. And of course, poor implementation of the policies and schemes. Next one, Jasmine. Dr. Jitender Aggarwal, whom I want to introduce by this slide, is the founder and the chief executive officer of an NGO called Sarthak. This fine gentleman was a practicing dentist at the age of about 30. He and his wife, also a dentist, were running 2 successful clinics in West Delhi when suddenly he lost his central vision at that young age. His world was shattered and he didn't know what to do. So he went all over, many friends. His family said, you come to our little shop in Haryana and you sit there, don't worry about it. But the guy wanted to do something about it. And some friends suggested to him that if you are feeling, he tried his hand at medical transcription, he tried his hand at many other things, tried to run he had closed his the clinic, which was at his house. And obviously he was trying to do all kinds of jobs, but he did not feel satisfactory. And also that was the period of 4 years when he felt firsthand that what are the difficulties, what are the impediments that people with special abilities or PwDs face in the country. And in 2008, this NGO called Sarthak was born with 8 PwDs in his house, or what was formerly his clinic. And in the last 13 years, Sarthak has done admirable work. They have trained and placed. I must mention here that Sarthak's job is not only training or providing skills to PwDs. They actually put greater emphasis on making them employable and then placing them in good companies. They have their people. I mentioned Lemon Tree already. Infosys is another big employer. And then there is Amazon, Flipkart, IBM, Wipro, etc., who are employing these companies of that caliber are employing. And if they were to multiply, if a couple of thousand other companies also was to employ these people, probably their problems would be greatly ameliorated. 25,000 plus children have been helped and medically rehabilitated due to early intervention. And 425 plus children have been helped through inclusive education. So Sarthak has done a great job. Now this is Sarthak's name, and this is Sarthak has chapters. Sarthak has now a total of 20 centers in the country, all over the country. You can see some of the names here. There are 3 centers in Delhi. One is the Delhi Center, and there are 2 early intervention centers, one in West Delhi, and sorry, the second one is not in Delhi, that's in Ghaziabad, which are also doing great work. Next one, Jasmine. President, please do tell me 3 minutes before my time is over. I don't want to overshoot. Sarthak programs, mainly there are 5 programs. One I mentioned, early intervention, and I put special emphasis on that because particularly children with any mental disorders, we've seen that if they come early, and not only them, even before a child is born, often these tests are able to tell that the mother is going to have a baby which will have some disablement. If they come to these centers, we are able to help them, and we are able to either prevent or at least minimize the effect of the disability that the child has or is going to have. Vocational skilling and sustainable employment, I've already mentioned about, there are many skills in which these people excel. There is painting, there is photography, there's embroidery, there is jewelry designing. There are all kinds of skills which they are able, flower arrangements, etc. And then, of course, these jobs in the hotels and housekeeping. And then, which I probably should have mentioned first, where most of our alumni go, are the computer skills. They're able to do programming, they're able to operate the computer, all kinds of programs on computers, and they prove to be very good on this. Advocacy. We try to tell everyone in the country, indeed in the world, that this is the plight of PwDs in the country, and they all need help. They're not looking for charity, sirs. They are looking for equal playing, level playing field, and they're looking for opportunities where they can work, and from being a burden on society, they can become useful members of society, as indeed this 22,000 of our alumni have shown. And then, of course, let me mention that there are many other organizations in the country also which are doing very good work, similar work that we are doing. But I think all put together has to be multiplied at least by 500 to attend to everybody, all PwDs in the country. National Olympic Association of India is another program of Sarthak. This is an association which was formed in 2002, just before the International Olympics were held in India in 2003. This Olympic movement started in Japan in the year 2000, and then India also became a member of that. And the government of India, the concerned ministry, asked some well-meaning people to form an association which can look after the interests of Olympics for people with special abilities. And I'll tell you in the next slide as to what all National Olympic Association of India. In 2016, Sarthak was approached by the people who were running this association earlier that they were unable to do it because the next generation was not interested or was not available for this. And the fine lady who had been running it, she was getting on in age. So we took it over. And I think in the last 4.5 years, we've done some good work in this field also. India Disability Empowerment Alliance. Now, this is a great step which has been recently taken about 2 years ago by Sarthak. As I mentioned earlier, that what Sarthak is doing, we need at least 500 Sarthaks in the country, or probably 1,000 more Sarthaks in the country, because we have limitations. We are unable to reach each and every PwD in the country. So we have thought of conceptualize this, which literally the acronym for which is IDEA, and we are inviting all NGOs who are involved in similar work to come on board. I'm happy to share with you that 250 have already come on board. And this is how we want the not only the message to spread, but other people, we're drafting standard operating procedures, the skill development curricula, and things like that, which we are able to disseminate through IDEA to many, many people in the country and even abroad now. Next one, please, Jasmine. This is again, will tell you a little bit about the programs of Sarthak. and the impact that Sarthak is creating. In the vocational skill building and sustainable employment, I think I've already mentioned, so I'm not going to repeat that. We have a presence in 15 states of India. Early intervention also, I mentioned to you that it has helped 2,500 plus people over the last. These centers were set up only about 5 years ago, were set up, and we want to replicate many of these. IDEA, as I mentioned earlier, 250 plus NGOs are already our partners across India, and we are trying to get more of them involved in this so that we can do capacity building for them, we can train master trainers for them, and we can kind of do a little bit more of good work that one has been able to do. NAAI, and I happen to be the president of NAAI, has already held, you know what NAAI does it, that it holds district level and regional competition and then national competition. And then every 4 years, there's an international Olympics competition. And this time it is happening in Russia in 2022 May. And we are already training about 25 youngsters to participate in that. And hopefully, COVID permitting, we will be able to take this contingent there and hopefully bring a few more medals than what Indian contingents in the past have brought. Regional Olympics, there are 5 regions that we have, North, South, East, West, and Center. We've held 8 regional Olympics where people from that region come and participate in different skills. And the International Charter of Olympics defines 22 skills, some of which I mentioned earlier. They come and participate in these. We have experienced judges and jury who decide, and the award winners, of course, get very special recognition, but others also are inspired by it. And this, the picture that you see there, is from the last National Olympics that were held. We've held 2 of them already, one in association with NSDC, who were kind enough to combine our National Olympic along with one of the big shows that they were having over a period of 3 days. And international one will be participating under our charge, Sarthak charge, for the first time in 2022. Next one, please. Now, one of the biggest programs of Sarthak now is to set up a global resource center. Global Resource Center is an effort to meet the aspiration of the disability sector, the aspirations of the people with disabilities, people with special abilities, Divyangjans, people who are differently able, through ensuring quality and standard services to these people across civil societies, complete and comprehensive understanding of disability by all stakeholders, and guided orientation of new entrants. In the next 2 slides, I'll tell you about what our facilities will have. The government of Haryana has very kindly allotted to us at a concessional price a reasonably large plot where we intend to make this building, and we are right now seeking funds for that. We have collected many people have donated for this, but we need much more for that. People like HDFC Foundation has made a big contribution, and his son Unilever is considering seriously, and many individuals, because without the individual help, it really can not be done. Early intervention, I'm probably repeating some of the things. Now, this is where we would actually, the purpose is to set up standard operating procedures for everything that we do. Skill building, preparing them for their employment, continuously keeping in touch with our alumni, and making sure that they act as our ambassadors and get in touch with other PwDs. Something that I forgot to mention is that we also have, in association with Capgemini, developed an app called Cap Sarthi. Cap Sarthi is the name, which particularly for those in rural areas, they can access on that and find out the facilities, government and private, which is available closest to them and how they can take benefit of those. Overall community and stakeholders to develop. So once we have the center, we have our own place. Since 2008, we are operating in a semi-rural area of India in a village called Mohammadpur, a small place which has been given to us. One of our well-wishers, a member of the National Advisory Board, and I mean, they rented it out, gave it to us. But we find that grossly inadequate for all the programs that we do for capacity building, and then exploring international collaboration to promote research and development in this field and technology exchange, etc. Next one is Jasmine. These are the projects, the 8 centers which the Global Resource Center at Gurugram will have. Vision in the dark. I'm sure all of you are familiar with this. There are centers like that in Hyderabad and in Mumbai. And the first center in the world was, of course, put up in Germany, where you go into total darkness, pitch dark, and you kind of chat with each other, or you even have a meal there. You're served by people who are vision impaired, and you really experience for an hour or two how is the life of people with vision impaired. Then we'll have a smart center where our master trainers and trainers would learn and disseminate all the technology which is involved in providing this skill development and making them job ready. We'll have an accessible auditorium where people can come and see for themselves the kind of work being done by us, the kind of work being done by Divyangjans, and what more can they do and how they can help. There would be a sensory park, again with people with either hearing disability or speech disability or vision disability, and they would be able to see firsthand and experience firsthand as how is the life of such people. We've seen all these things, these ideas have come to us by some of the members visiting such facilities in the US and in Europe and and in Japan, where a lot more work has been done for making the life of PwDs totally inclusive. There would be a center of excellence for employment. It is further fine-tuning what we've been doing. More space and more facilities and more better trained faculty will enable us to set the standards for these, and even at the cost of reputation, to set standard operating procedures for these, so that all the people who come on board on IDEA are also able to replicate those facilities in their center. Similarly, there'll be a center of excellence for skill building, where we would demonstrate all the 22 skills that we are able to teach, and there would be a first-hand chance for people, for parents, for others to come and see those things. And then, of course, Center of Excellence for Early Intervention and Inclusive Education, and for Technology, Innovation, and International Collaboration. We have already had some interesting approach by people in UK and people in another European country, I forget the name, who are interested in collaborating with us and giving us the benefit of their experience in that. Now, this is what is going to be basically the structure of the Global Resource Center. There will be 2 basements, ground floor, and 3 floors, which would house these different centers that I've talked about, different areas. And just to repeat, that vision in the dark is to sensitize stakeholders. Auditorium is to assuring access, reassuring its success. And the Center of Excellence for Employment would be enabling through employment, enabling through entrepreneurship. And our employment partners will come and speak there periodically. They'll deliver talks. You know, the job fairs that we hold now all over the country, some of them will do job fairs there. And that is where people would be able to get greater benefit of what is being done. We'll be able to build their competence, building their capacity, delivering, ACEs of Olympics. I mentioned about Olympics. We think Olympics is a wonderful platform for not only recognizing those who excel at the different abilities, different life skills, but also for inspiring others so that next time they're able to do better. We have a regular system like the Olympics and Paralympics, which are both now, of course, very successful organizations because they're supported by the UN system and they have sufficient funding at their command. Whereas Olympics, we would like that in the next 5 to 10 years, Olympics also reaches that level. Olympics is also able to catch the attention of the world community, not only the community in India, but the world community, so that there is support, there is funding, there is education for all of us, there is capacity building for all of us, because we feel that we probably at Sarthak also have only learned maybe 10 to 20% of what needs to be learned about people with disabilities. And there's a lot more to be learned because we are aware that in more advanced economies, a lot more work has been done. I'm sure you've all heard of, wonderful names like Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is an internationally known, globally known singer. Stephen Hawking, who died 2 years ago, was probably the best known physicist and he had several other skills. But the guy was paralyzed from neck down from a very early age. And yet he lived to become one of the greatest physicists in the world. Franklin Roosevelt, one of the presidents of USA, he lived from 1882 to 1945, was wheelchair bound from a very early age. Helen Keller, who lived from 1880 to 1965, she is the one who started the movement for people with hearing disability and speech disability and spread the word all over the world. Louis Braille, 1809 to 1852, is still remembered and still the system, Braille system, formulated and invented by her, is still used all over the world by people who have vision impairment and who are then able to run their life, manage their life with the help of Braille. Now there are Braille books and Braille systems for education and things like that. Then nearer home, within our own country, I'm sure you've heard of Arunima Sinha, who climbed the Everest, and Ira Singhal, who topped in the IAS competition. She was selected in the first attempt itself, but she had this desire and fire in the belly to top the competition. So she kept on working and in other services, IRS and IAS, but she wanted to top the IAS, and she managed to do that in 2014. She is one of the senior officers now in the Delhi government. Sudha Chandran, who lost her legs and then came back with a vengeance and became a very successful dancer. So there's so many other people like that, gutsy people whom the families help, the society help, the countries help, and who were able to not only live normal lives, but also they were able to excel in the areas that they were doing. I've only named half a dozen of them, but if you Google, you would find probably a few hundred of the people who have excelled in life despite having some disability. It's a known thing that when nature deprives you of some ability, it automatically sharpens some of your other abilities. For example, how do people with vision impairment become great singers? Probably they are able to concentrate more on their singing power and on the listening power and on appreciation of this. So this is what exactly I am again repeating myself, that these people are not looking for charity. They're not looking for a job which you just give out of your sense of philanthropy. They're looking for jobs on their merit. They're looking for opportunities where they can work, where they can compete with their able-bodied colleagues, and where they can display that they are they have the capability and they would be able to deliver the goods, deliver the responsibilities entrusted to them. Could I have the next slide, please, Jasmine? Friends, I just have two more slides. In December 2020, Dr. Jitender Aggarwal and his wife were invited at the KBC Karmaveer series to to participate in that. And before I go on to the message that the great Amitabh Bachchan gave about Sarthak and about them, I'm happy to share with you that they reached the maximum level of winning 25 lakhs of rupees in this series and came home with that. This also has given us a fair amount of visibility in India and even in some other countries. Even some donations have come in from other countries by just saying that, we saw Jitender Aggarwal on the KBC and we greatly admire what he's able to do that. Could you play the short video clip, Jasmine?
Yes.
हमें एक बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट प्रोग्राम सर हम लोग ग्लोबल रिसोर्स सेंटर बना रहे हैं गुड़गांव में सर। ओके। हमारे देश में सर जैसे आप देखेंगे कि डिसेबल्ड जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है बहुत सारी हैं, हजारों में है सर, और उनका जो पैशन है, कमिटमेंट है, वो बड़ा जबरदस्त है सर। तो पर वो लोग स्ट्रगल करते हैं सर, उनके पास रिसोर्सेज की कमी है, उनके पास कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग नहीं है, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट नहीं है। तो हमने सार्थक ने निश्चय किया कि हम उन लोगों को कैपेसिटी बिल्ड करें ताकि अगर वो मुर्शिदाबाद में है या बनारस में है तो वहां पे सार्थक जैसे ही चला सके। तो ये ग्लोबल रिसोर्स सेंटर उसमें बड़ी कड़ी होगा सर, और उस सीरीज में हमें हरियाणा सरकार ने एक स्पेस भी उपलब्ध करा दिया है गुड़गांव में सर।
नमस्कार, दिस इज अमिताभ बच्चन। Sarthak has been a pioneer, a leader in enabling the Divyangs by providing them with suitable skills for their employment in various establishments. So parents, stakeholders and NGOs need to support Sarthak in enrolling these differently abled for their training and eventual placement for jobs. In their spirit of innovation, Sarthak is now building an research center in Gurugram and needs the generous support for its fructification. My very best wishes to the entire Sarthak team in the fulfillment of its mission. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
I apologize, friends, that there was some mismatch between lip syncing and what Shri Amitabh Bachchan said. Some technical glitch there, but I'm sure you got the message. Jasmine, let's have the last slide, please. Now I come to, I think it's the last slide, or maybe how can you help? The first thing is, I would say, is that advocacy. Please talk to your friends. You move in exalted circles. Talk to your friends. Tell them about PwDs. Tell them to get interested. Tell them to support our movement. And if 25 people present today in this session, and I'm sure there are several hundred more on the Facebook streaming they're listening to, if each one of them is to talk to even 10 more people, and then it multiplies, then the message will get across very quickly to a lot many more people as to what is the plight of people with disabilities in the country, what is it that they need, what are their requirements, and how can people help. Then you can volunteer. You can volunteer to come and deliver talks, multi-talented people, depending on whoever offers himself or herself from different walks of life to be an active part of the organization. Come and share the vision to our stakeholders. Come and help them in their, to inspire them to live their life with dignity and with respect. And if you are interested, do drop a mail at this sarthak@gmail.com or to me or to Mr. Virendra Datta, who would pass it on to me, and we would get in touch with you. And then there are other areas. Jasmine, is there one more slide which mentions more precisely about?
Yes, sir, there is.
Okay. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention was that you can come I mentioned about you can come and deliver talks on this subject. Yeah, one more thing which I think which I forgot to mention is that all our people trained by us are almost always looking to improve their curriculum vitae presentation. They make their CVs, then they send them to us, and then some of us are able to improve those, because when it goes to the potential employer, the first thing is the CV that the potential employer sees, and on the basis of that, they call these people in the job fairs and things like that. So many of you here, the HR experts, can possibly help improve those CVs for the PwDs so that they are able to attract greater attention from the potential employers and they're able to go in for job. And then finally, of course, there is the route of donations, either through the bank directly or online or Paytm or check or whatever it may be. And we would be extremely grateful if you are able to help. And no donation is small for us, whether it is 1 rupee or 1 crore rupees. We welcome all of those with gratitude and with profuse thanks from the entire PwD community. Jasmine, is there a next one?
No, sir, that is.
Thank you very much, friends.
The floor is now open for questions.
Yes, I'll be happy if there are any questions, President Jatin.
Ramanji, please, if you may unmute yourself.
Yeah, I noticed on the chat box somebody had a question. Yes.
Krishan ji, thank you for your very vivid explanation of what Sarthak is doing. If you remember, some time ago, before the COVID started, we had a small chat.
Yes, yes, at Viren's farm, you told me about the great work that you are doing. Yes.
No, it's not I am doing. It's what Rotary does. I just want to inform you that our Rotary Club has been focused for rehabilitating the disabled from a very long time.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, over 20 years. And our focus has been on children with polio. Our focus has been on children who need early intervention, surgical intervention, but cannot afford it. So we have ensured that every child in the country who can possibly be operated upon and become more useful in life and be able to be self-dependent is done, whatever the cost of the surgery or the cost of the rehabilitation may be. Starting from just about 10,000 per child to we have paid up to 9 or 10 lakhs per child for the medical intervention. So that was polio. But as you know, polio, our country got rid of polio in 2011. So less and less number of polio children are now, you talked about President Roosevelt. He was one of the first polio patients who started the polio eradication program and helped us to finally reach where we are today. But there are many names. You talked about Helen Keller, and she also said that science may have found a cure for most.
Ramanji, may I just request you to do? We're running a little short on time, so if you have a question, please do put it. Thank you.
Actually, I just want to say, all right, if there's short of time, then I just want to tell Krishan ji that if I want to go to the last part of your slide is how we can help. So my simple question is that if you have time, let's fix up a meeting between our trust and your trust, and we'll see how we can help. We are helping a lot of trusts, NGOs in this country in this line. We'll be happy to tie up with Sarthak in whatever way we can. So that's my only offer. We'll find out the opportunities, but there's lots we can do together, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raman. I am delighted to learn that your club is doing so much work. At that time, I had not connected you with this club. And incidentally, in the polio program, I'm a great admirer of the Rotary movement, what they did for Polio Plus program. I was somehow involved in that program, not even being a Rotarian, because my company at that time was making vaccine carriers and cold boxes, which were used in the program by the 1,000. And that's how indirectly one came in touch. We were invited to participate in that by the RI former president, Raja Sabu, who was a very dear friend. And so we were doing it on a commercial basis, of course. We were not doing anything else. Thank you. I will certainly fix up this meeting. I am personally, in the last 2 years for the first time traveling out for about months now from Tuesday. But I will make sure that Dr. Jitender Aggarwal or one of his colleagues contacts you. Mr. Suresh Gupta is attending this. He's a member of the National Advisory Board. Mr. Atul Bhattagar also is a member of the National Advisory Board. They'll be in touch with your organization. And I'm sure we can collaborate and, what we are both doing can be multiplied many times by that collaboration. We'll do that, sir.
Just the end of it. Some of your very close friends are trustees on this trust I'm talking about, including Captain Suresh Vasudev and Shashi Buddhiraja. And of course, the late Inder Sharma was there. So the 4 of us, 5 of us have been running this trust. So
both very dear friends. Shashi and Suresh are very dear friends.
So we are all together in this. So just thought I'll inform you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody?
I have a question. Can I come in, please?
Please, Bharatji, go ahead.
Kalra sahab, it was a wonderful speech, great listening to it. I would like to make one admission today in front of everyone. I also happen to be a person with a vision disability and a pretty severe one. But I'm running a life pretty close to normal, pretty close to normal. My issue is that I wanted to introduce this association to you known as the National Association for the Blind, which is in RK Puram, New Delhi. And I'm one of the governing council members. This institution is doing a lot of work for students, and we have been able to place children with complete blindness at senior levels in banks and universities and certain MNCs. This institution is about 41 years old, which was started by past district governor, late Jagdish Kapoorji, and it is still running successfully. There is a lot of technology which is available, sound-based technologies, which is much more advanced than Braille, which can be helpful for the blind people. I just wanted to introduce this issue to you.
Bharat Singh ji, thank you very much. It's a privilege for me to be able to meet you virtually, and we would be in touch with your organization also. Will you, if you are kind enough, please do send an email or a WhatsApp. And Raman has provided the details on the chat box. If you would also kindly do that, ask someone to do that.
What I will do is I will connect with you through Jatinji.
I am a firm believer in that old cliche term, ek aur 11. Matlab, if we both come together, then our efforts can be multiplied. Thank you, sir. Thank you for introducing.
Any more questions, please?
I just have one little bit, sir. Krishanji, it has been indeed a pleasure to have had you talk to us and opened our eyes to all the work that Sarthak is doing. I, on the behalf of Rotary Club of Delhi Midtown, would offer to, again, sit with you and see where we can work together on various projects. As Ramanji has already mentioned, our club has been involved with the rehabilitation of people with disabilities. We, in fact, even today run a scholarship where we we give scholarship to Delhi University students with disabilities. Anywhere between 10 to 15 students every year are given a scholarship by our foundation. And of course, as time goes by, I'm sure we will sit together and want to take this forward with your organization. Once you're back from your travels, we could sit and discuss that. So that's my offer on behalf of the Rotary Club of Delhi Midtown. Back to you, Ritika.
Right. I now request Rotarian Ashutosh Loya to kindly give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ritika. And of course, it was a wonderful talk, Mr. Kalra, that you gave us today. And not only have you opened our eyes, figuratively speaking, to this subject which has been plaguing this society for a long time, persons with disabilities. And like you very rightly pointed out, that when nature takes away something, it also compensates with another maybe a higher pronounced ability. And I think it's time for us to sit up and take notice of the fact that probably we need a more inclusive society. And over a period of time, probably people have gotten busy with their own problems, set of concerns. And what you've done today is you've reawakened that light within all of us. I can speak at least on behalf of my club and the esteemed members here that you've reawakened that light. And of course, it will be an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to collaborate with you and do whatever we can for a better and a more inclusive society. We really thank you, sir, for taking your precious time, your valuable time, and educating us on this subject. Thank you so much. We are very grateful to you.
I'm most grateful, sir, to all of you, to President Jatin, to Honorary Secretary Ritika, to my friend Viren Datta, and everyone else. I'm sorry I couldn't catch the name of the gentleman who made the vote of thanks, and I wasn't able to see him on the screen. So I could see the name.
That was our Vice President Rotarian Ashutosh Lohia, sir. He's a leading advocate in the Supreme Court.
Thank you, Vice President Lohia. Your words are very kind. And it was my privilege actually to be here with you today. And I would be delighted if the word spreads to other Rotary clubs. And I'm available for this talk. And even when I'm traveling, I am available for this talk anytime if it is there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Everyone. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your views. And thank you, Mr. Kalra. May I now request you to donate generously to the Sunshine Club, everybody, the members. The Sunshine account and the club's account, foundation's account number has been mentioned in the chat. So this is particularly for members only. So I hope that was noted.
Well, we accept money from anybody, Ritika.
That too. So the next meeting details, the next regular meeting for the club is on the 4th of September, 2021. This will be a physical meeting at the Imperial Hotel at 1 p.m. The speaker will be Mr. Sanjoy Mazumdar, who is the MD for BBC India. Further details are soon to follow. Over to you, President.
Thank you, Ritika. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just for the next meeting, I'd just like to reiterate, it will be a physical meeting. We will make arrangements for there to be a Zoom link as well, so that people can join in if they are not so keen to join us for lunch. And it's an interesting person that we have. It's Sanjoy Mazumdar. He is the managing editor of BBC in India. He has in the past reported from Kabul. He has traveled there often enough post the what you would call the invasion, the US, the intervention of NATO and the US, and has been reporting from there regularly. So it'll be quite an interesting talk. Before I close the meeting, I think Nagendra uncle has something to say. Could you please unmute yourself, uncle?
I think the screen has frozen.
We seem to have lost him. There he is. Nagendra uncle, yeah, can you hear us?
I'm requesting him to unmute.
I've sent a request to him to unmute himself. I'll send it again.
I think we lost him.
We've lost him. So in any case, I think we'll remain online. He's back. He's back. He's back.
President Jatin, do I have your permission to leave this meeting?
Sir, I think one of our oldest members, Nagendra Prakash, probably wants to have a word with you, and that's the reason why he's here.
Sure.
So if you don't mind for a minute.
No problem.
Nagendraji, please, if you may speak, uncle. You're unmuted now.
We have him, but he's not on the screen. Oh.
There he is.
There he is. Nagendra uncle, we can see you. If you can unmute yourself. Yes, please, uncle. We are just waiting for you. विनोद जी अनम्यूट कर दो उनको. There you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, uncle. Please go ahead.
It is nothing to do with this meeting, but I have to make a small suggestion that this physical meeting which you are organizing on the 4th of September, let there be no Zoom meeting. Let me see how many people are really keen to join this meeting. So this physical meeting has to be physical meeting, no Zoom meeting. This is my suggestion, because we must come out from the crowd and have a regular life as soon as possible. So this meeting will show us how many of us are very keen to get on our toes. And I'm sure that you will find that out of 60 members, those all who are saying that unless there is a physical meeting, we cannot have additions. So let us see the physical meetings and let us have the additions. This is my suggestion.
Okay. With that, I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Krishan ji, for your time and your presentation. And uncle, duly noted your point on the physical meeting. We hope that we will have many members joining us. Last time, just for your reference, last time we had that fellowship meeting, we had 25 people who attended.
This time you will have more than 40 if you have the physical meeting and no Zoom.
It will be a pleasure to have 40 people in the meeting, uncle. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining today. And
thank you, everybody.